Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is a special short screencast-o-matic presentation, which basically is going to give you the second half of the warm-ups for Cycle 4 for World Cultures. Please listen carefully to the following questions and answers for the warm-ups, and please remember to course format your responses accordingly. Remember that at the end of this presentation, you should be able to have all warm-ups completed, and you should be able to submit on Google Classroom to meet the deadline. Let's get started. So as you're aware, we started a new unit on Egypt. And this unit, of course, is going to fly by pretty quickly, but here are some of the major thematic points that you should remember from each lesson that we do. From Monday and Tuesday, why is studying of Egyptian civilization important to understanding world history and culture? Please provide at least 6 reasons. So before we delve deeper, here are some things that I'd like for you to consider as to why we talk about Egypt in a world cultures class. Number 1, the whole main purpose here is that Egypt is really one of the largest, most well-studied, and iconic worldly civilizations. When you think about world history, a lot of people think about ancient Egypt specifically. Additionally, Egypt is known for its culture, its advancement, tools, inventions. A lot of these things combine to form our collective understanding about what Egypt might have been like. Egyptian architecture is unique, but incredibly awe-inspiring too. In fact, when you think about Egypt, you might think about the pyramids, the tombs, and the Valley of the Kings, and other iconic buildings that exist in Egypt specifically. Additionally, Egyptian pharaohs are synonymously known to being powerful and noteworthy through history and culture. Many people, of course, are familiar with names like King Tut and Ramses and Cleopatra. Also, Egyptian pantheons many people find interesting, like the study of the gods and goddesses. People also might find interesting compelling mummification. You may not know this, but we do still continue some of ancient Egyptian mummification practices in our protocol for preserving the dead today. And Egypt is one of the most heavily traveled countries in the world today. So I think by taking a closer, deeper look of the history and culture of this particular place, you could be best served to not just whether or not you travel there in the future, but just the simple fact of knowing that this is one of the most important countries in the world today. From Thursday and Friday's lesson, what is Egyptian history best known for, and what values does Egyptian history teach us? So think about this question like this: why do we study some of the things that we will be studying, specifically as it pertains to history, in Egypt? So I think one of the most important takeaways from this unit will be the fact that Egyptian history is broken down into different eras and areas of advancement and expansion, but also setback and instability. For example, the Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms are synonymous with growth, development, and unique characteristics, while the intermediate periods are known for transition and adjustment and sometimes wars and defeat. The geography of ancient Egypt is unique too. In fact, it's one of the most successful river civilizations in the entire world. The Nile River really did help the rise and expansion of Egypt accordingly. Additionally, the pharaohs, or leaders in government who were part leader, part god, are synonymous with the culture and history of Egypt too. To go back to the previous world, like I said, there's a reason why certain pharaohs are synonymously known to being important. The lifestyle of Egyptians too teaches the way that they had developed an advanced social hierarchy. And this also shows us and tells us how people lived and how, of course, this type of great recorded history that they had gives us insights into the way that they might have valued certain things. The philosophy and religion is also really important when looking at Egypt's history because we get a sense and a feel for the dynamic and eclectic outward view that they've had of themselves and the world. For example, when we look at the Book of the Dead and we can see the way that they preserve dead bodies, that'll give us insight into how they actually not only built architecture, but how they prepared bodies and how they established systems that we still practice today. Culture is really important too from a historical standpoint because Egypt has always been a bounce and blend of indigenous, Arabic, and African influences. And when you think about where it is, it's in the upper right-hand corner of the African continent. It's pretty much a nice bounce and blend between Middle East and African culture all together in one fell swoop. So as you guys can see, those are some of the key things we're going to focus on in these lessons for Egypt. And for those reasons that I just conveyed to you, I think it's important to kind of look at this from a broad-based perspective as well. So I hope that you found this to be helpful. Please remember that you should be able to submit your warm-ups accordingly on Google Classroom. Thank you very much for tuning in.